I am Aristotle's. I was born in 384 BCE in the small town of Stagira, located in the region of Macedonia. My father, Nicomachus, served as the physician to King Amyntas of Macedon, a position that granted him access to the court and a wealth of knowledge about the natural world. It was under his guidance that I developed my early interest in biology and the sciences, though, sadly, I lost both of my parents while still quite young. After their passing, I was taken in by Proxenus, a relative, who oversaw my upbringing and instilled in me a disciplined approach to learning. At the age of 17, I moved to Athens, the intellectual heart of Greece, and enrolled in Plato's academy. For the next 20 years, I studied under Plato, absorbing his philosophy and engaging in dialogue with some of the greatest minds of the time. Plato was, without question, one of the greatest thinkers I had ever known, yet I found myself disagreeing with him on key points. Where Plato emphasized the world of ideal forms, which he believed was separate from the material world, I believed that the truth could be found in the world of experience, in the tangible and observable. My time at the academy was rewarding, but after Plato's death in 347 BCE, I left Athens and embarked on a period of travel and study. My first stop was the court of Hermias of Atarneus in Asia Minor, where I married Pythias, Hermias's niece. We had a daughter together, whom we named after her mother. However, my time there was cut short when Hermias was betrayed and killed by the Persians. Afterward, I made my way to the island of Lesbos, where I focused my studies on biology, especially the anatomy and habits of marine animals. It was here that I made some of my most important contributions to the understanding of the natural world by meticulously observing and classifying living organisms. In 343 BCE, I received a summons that would change the course of my life. King Philip II of Macedon asked me to tutor his son, Alexander, who would later become known as Alexander the Great. For the next several years, I lived in the Macedonian court, mentoring the young prince. I instilled in him a love of philosophy, ethics, and the sciences, and though I did not know it at the time, Alexander would carry the lessons I taught him as he expanded his empire across much of the known world. When Alexander ascended to the throne in 336 BCE, I returned to Athens and founded my own school, the Lyceum. Unlike Plato's academy, where philosophical discussions often centered around abstract ideas, the Lyceum was rooted in observation and empirical research. I believe that knowledge must be grounded in what we can perceive and measure in the world around us. It was in the Lyceum that I developed many of my ideas in science, logic, metaphysics, ethics, and politics, and it was here that I composed the bulk of my writings. In logic, I introduced a system of reasoning known as syllogism, a method for deriving conclusions from premises, which would become the foundation of Western logic for centuries. My work in logic was a key part of what I called the organon, which served as a tool for scientific and philosophical investigation. To me, reasoning was the bedrock of understanding, and I sought to develop a comprehensive system that would allow us to move from known truths to new insights. In the realm of ethics, I proposed a way of living based on the concept of the golden mean, the idea that virtue lies between two extremes. For example, courage is the mean between recklessness and cowardice. I called this approach to ethics eudaimonia, often translated as happiness or flourishing, but more accurately described as the fulfillment of one's potential. A life lived in accordance with reason, where one cultivates virtues, is the highest good, and it is this life that leads to true happiness. As for politics, I considered the organization of society crucial to the pursuit of the good life. In my work Politics, I explored different systems of government, from monarchies to oligarchies to democracies, and argued that the best political system is one that promotes the common good. I favored a constitutional government where the middle class holds power, as I believed it was the most stable and just form of rule. My scientific inquiries were vast. I devoted myself to the study of physics, biology, astronomy, and many other fields. One of my most significant contributions was in biology, where I developed a system of classification for plants and animals based on their characteristics, predating modern taxonomy. I observed that all living things could be arranged in a hierarchy, with human beings at the top due to our unique capacity for rational thought. My biological works, especially those on animals, provided the most detailed and accurate accounts of their anatomy and behavior up to that point. In my metaphysical writings, particularly in metaphysics, I explored the nature of being and existence. I rejected Plato's theory of forms, arguing instead that the substance of things is found within them, not in some separate ideal realm. To me, every object is composed of both matter and form. The matter is what things are made of, and the form is their essential nature. I also developed the concept of the unmoved mover, a prime cause that initiates motion and change in the universe without itself being changed. My contributions to rhetoric were equally influential. In my work Rhetoric, I analyzed the art of persuasion, identifying three main modes of appeal: ethos, the speaker's credibility; pathos, appealing to the emotions; and logos, the logic of the argument. I believe that a successful rhetorician must use all three effectively to sway an audience, and my analysis of rhetoric would go on to shape the study of communication for centuries. I also turned my attention to drama and literature. In poetics, I analyzed the components of tragedy, identifying key elements such as plot, character, and catharsis. My work on literary theory had a profound impact on playwrights and critics in both the ancient and modern world. Despite my achievements, my later years were not without controversy. After Alexander's death in 323 BCE, anti-Macedonian sentiment swept through Athens, and I found myself facing charges of impiety. Fearing for my life, I fled the city, famously stating that I would not allow Athens to sin twice against philosophy, a reference to the execution of Socrates. I retreated to the city of Chalcis on the island of Euboea, where I spent the last year of my life in relative quiet, continuing my studies until my death in 322 BCE. Looking back on my life, I realized that my work spanned nearly every area of human inquiry, from logic and ethics to biology and physics. Though many of my conclusions have been revised or refuted in the centuries since my death, I take solace in knowing that I helped lay the foundations for much of Western thought. My writings, though imperfect, have been studied and debated for over 2 millennia, and I trust that the pursuit of knowledge I so valued will continue long into the future. Aristotle's life, though marked by great intellectual achievement, was not without its challenges. I sought to understand the world through observation and reason, always striving to see things as they truly were, and it is my hope that the legacy I left behind will inspire others to do the same.